Hello, everyone, and welcome to Mastering Math in Second Grade with Mrs. Douglas and Mrs. Hopkins. I'm Mrs. Hopkins. In today's lesson, we're going to solve compare word problems using comparison bars. Let's look at an example to begin. Jane and Bob have some apples. Jane has 6 apples, and Bob has 9 apples. How many more apples does Bob have than Jane? As with all word problems, the first question you should ask is, what kind of problem is this? Since this problem has the word than, that means it's a compare problem. The second question you should ask is, who has more apples? Bob has 9 apples, and 9 is more than 6. Jane has 6 apples. How many more apples does Bob have than Jane? We don't know yet. The word problem is asking, how many more apples does Bob have than Jane? Since this is a compare problem, you're going to draw comparison bars. Start with the longer bar at the top to represent the total, and a smaller bar underneath to represent one of the partners, and an oval to represent the other partner. Next, label each bar with a capital letter. Bob has 9 apples. We know he has more, so the first bar will have a capital B. The second bar is for Jane with a capital J. Next, fill in the bars with the information from the word problem. Jane has 6 apples, so 6 goes in the bar next to J. Bob has 9 apples, so 9 goes in the bar next to B. We do not know how many more apples Bob has than Jane, so a question mark goes in the oval. Think of this as a math mountain, with the total at the top and the partners at the bottom. What equation can be written to solve the problem? You can write a subtraction equation. 9 minus 6 equals unknown partner. Or an addition equation. 6 plus unknown partner equals 9. In both equations, the answer is 3. 9 minus 6 equals 3, and 6 plus 3 equals 9. To answer the question, how many more apples does Bob have than Jane? The answer is Bob has 3 more apples than Jane. Here's another example. Jane and Bob have some apples. Jane has 6 apples, and Bob has 3 more apples than Jane. How many apples does Bob have? Ask the question, what kind of problem is this? This is a compare problem because it has the word than. Who has more apples? In the word problem, it says Bob has 3 more apples than Jane. How many more apples does Bob have than Jane? Bob has 3 more apples than Jane. Setting up your comparison bars, how many apples does Bob have is the unknown number. That is represented by a question mark at the top. Jane has 6 apples, and we know that Bob has 3 more apples than Jane. So an equation to find out the missing total would be 6 plus 3 equals 9. Here's another example. Jane and Bob have some apples. Bob has 9 apples. Jane has 3 fewer apples than Bob. How many apples does Jane have? Again, start by asking the question, what kind of problem is this? Because of the word than, I know it's a compare problem. Who has more apples? It says that Jane has 3 fewer apples than Bob, so I know Bob has more apples. How many more apples does Bob have? The answer again is 3. When setting up the comparison bars, Bob has 9 apples. That's at the total, at the top. Jane has 3 fewer apples than Bob. We do not know how many apples Jane has at this point, so a question mark is in the box next to J. I hope these examples gave you a better understanding of how to solve compare word problems.